So North American markets opened higher today, but then we saw weakness in the stock. Let's focus first, though, on Palantir, the vendor of software. In an interview with CNBC, Palantir called the latest results indisputably the best results I'm aware of in tech in the last decade. So no hyperbole there. Our guest says this headline should lift the markets, but cautions that we all know how quickly things can change. Joining us now is Jonathan Corpina, Senior Managing Partner at Meridian Equity Partners. Thanks very much for joining us, Jonathan. I'm not sure, I mean, it's a moving target, but what caused the market, do you think, to weaken after a higher open?
Yeah, I wrote that note last night, and how true it seems now, because we came into today off the Palantir earnings reports, off the trading activity that we saw yesterday, clearly an up market yesterday, and thinking Palantir was going to continue to help our markets overnight, in which it did. S&P futures were up this morning. As soon as the market opened today, we had some Fed comments coming out just about how the uncertainty of our economy is, and our data, our unemployment numbers, what they're going to look like moving forward. And very quickly, you can see that this market has changed direction. That doesn't change the earnings reports that we got last night, the sentiment from yesterday, the reports from today. It just kind of proves my point, how quickly this market can change off of one headline. And to me, that tells me one thing, that we probably are getting very toppy at this point. The market is soft, it's fragile, and one headline can shift this market in either direction, whether it's magnified to the upside or the downside. Yes, obviously we like to see it to the upside, but sometimes those movements aren't really warranted based off of those headlines. So again, today, couple comments coming out of Washington. They put a little bit of pressure on our markets in this early session so far. We'll see how the day plays out.
Palantir is such an interesting story, isn't it? It was down as of today this year, still up about 75% in the past year, now up almost 90%. Back in November, the Wall Street Journal said no company in the S&P 500 had hit a $490 billion valuation as quickly and with as little in sales. So it's got a famous multiple.
Yeah, I mean, great story that we have here. Clearly have seen a lot of volatility in that stock. There have been a lot of naysayers on the street about Palantir. So I think Carp's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder to prove everybody wrong. Coming off the highs towards the third, fourth quarter of last year, trading around 200, and now it's come down, bouncing off the 150 levels, and we see where it's trading here today. Still has some room in front of it, but I think overall the story, the earnings reports, there is some wind behind it now. It's just a question of, does it have enough wind to get back to those levels that we saw at the end of 2025? This story continues to unfold. This is quite a hot area of investing, and I think when we start to see an earnings report like we did last night with Palantir, it should get some momentum behind it.
You're looking ahead to some classic consumer stocks, earnings from them, PepsiCo and Pfizer. What should we keep an eye out for here?
Yeah, we saw those this morning. Clearly some wins that we get there out of those two names. Uncertainty in the future is still going to be one of the forecasting headlines that we see in Pepsi, trying to invest in different areas. Pepsi announcing this morning how well some of their soda sales are doing, but their snacks sales not as well. They're going to be lowering prices there. I think investors are taking that as a negative sign. And in Pfizer, rightfully so, they've announced, and we're seeing slowdown in some of the COVID product sales that are there, and they're seeing slowdown in some of the areas of older drugs that they have. But getting into that, continuing to move into that obesity business and investing heavily into that area there is a positive taken away from the Pfizer results.
And they are cutting prices on Doritos and Lay's chips. But of course, when I look at bags of chips in the supermarket, I'm not necessarily talking about those brands. They seem to get smaller and smaller. But in any case, they are cutting prices. What should we look out for with the forthcoming earnings from big tech? I mean, I know this theme of high spending, massive spending on AI capabilities will be a theme.
Yeah, we're still going to look for that headline. We're still going to see that headline that's out there. Kind of a unique area now, right? Because just the cash on hand that these companies have, the urge for investing internally, the urge for buying other companies clearly is going to be there. Yet we're still going to hear the story of uncertainty in the economic future as we continue to talk about interest rates. We're going to continue to hear about tariffs and the implications of that, tag on a few geopolitical risks that are out there. So I think from the headlines that we're going to see in these earnings reports coming out, net positive, yet they'll use some of these uncertainties out there to kind of manage expectations. And that's part of their job, is to really deliver a good story, yet manage the expectations of 1 or 2 quarters ahead.
Jonathan, as ever, thank you very much indeed.
Have a great day. Thank you.
Jonathan Corpina, Senior Managing Partner at Meridian Equity Partners.